I think it's about time I did a mid-year wrap-up, even if we are at the end of July. Katie here, also known as Reading with Katie Louise. These are my books, and I'm here to give you a mid-year wrap-up about some of my favourite books of the year, but also some that fell a little bit short for me. So at time of recording, I've currently read 96 books this year. Disclaimer as always, that is how I get lost, is that I pick up a book. However, that doesn't mean that no matter how many books you have read, that you are no better or worse at reading than I am. At the end of the day, as long as you're enjoying what you are reading, that is extremely important. I am very lucky that I have a lot of time off with my job, being in a school, and I do end up reading a lot to pass the time. So the first book I want to talk about this year that actually impressed me is a book that I haven't really talked about much since I read it, but is set in Yorkshire, and that is The List of Suspicious Things by Jenny Godfrey. This is a retelling of the Yorkshire Ripper, and it follows two 12-year-olds as they try to solve who the Yorkshire Ripper is, just so that one of them cannot move away. I really enjoyed this. I didn't think I would. I thought it'd be a bit tame for me, but I actually enjoyed where it went. There is a point in the book that had me gasping, and for those that have read it will know exactly what I mean. But yeah, I mean, I almost forgot I was reading about a real life crime. So I actually was going, oh, it's so-and-so, it's so-and-so. And actually, we all knew who it was. I was just silly enough that I got so lost in the book that I forgot that. But this was a 5-star read for me and an absolute recommend. The next two books that I want to talk about are Little Boy Blue and Eeny Meeny by MJ Arledge. So for those that don't know, I discovered MJ Arledge this year. It was a complete accident. I was in the works. They had a few of his books, not in order. I ended up buying the whole series, but boy, I do not regret it. You can just see them here in shot, but I will put up the stack here as well, just so you know the order of them too. The first book in the series was a bang. This was an immediate 5 stars for me. It follows a series of unalivings where they are kidnapped in pairs, and basically only one of them will ever make it out alive, as the other one has to unalive the other. Honestly, it's twisted, and even then it got better and better, and what a way to start the series. I mean, I haven't rated any of the series less than 4 stars, but this is by far my favourite of the series. And the second favourite was still a 5-star, but just a very close second favourite was Little Boy Blue. This follows 3 unalivings, and all the unalivings connect back to D.I. Helen Grace. The cliffhanger in this is all I'm going to say to you. If you own these books, make sure you have got the next one in the series after this, because you will not want to wait to pick up the next one. I haven't actually got a video to film yet for these books because I am refusing to read the last one I own, because the most recent one came out this month, and it also is in hardback, and I'm waiting for the paperback. However, I am super excited for that book to come out, but I just don't want the series to end. But oh my goodness, a series I would absolutely recommend if you like a good twisty thriller and also love a good detective series. A more recent 5-star read for me is Hooked by Emily McIntyre. Now, I have said I'm a crime and thriller girly through and through, and I am. However, I am branching out thanks to the likes of BookTok, Bookstagram and BookTube. And that was Hooked by Emily McIntyre as part of the Never After series. I actually inhaled this in a day and rated it 5 stars. I was so surprised that I enjoyed this book so much. It is a Peter Pan retelling, but in a dark romance format. Now, this was my first dark romance, and I do think it is the perfect way to dip into it if you're a bit unsure. It is brutal, and it also has a bit of thriller aspect to it for me. So I really enjoyed this, and I've already started Scarred, and I'm currently reading Scarred. But yeah, this was such a good book and an unexpected 5 stars for me. Next up again is another series that I've discovered this year after buying the first one, and then I bought the second one. I was gifted the first one for my birthday at the same time, which was rather spooky, and the third one has recently come out, and that is the Major Crime series by Sam Holland. So I rated the first 2 in the series 5 stars. So the Echo, nope, that's the Puppet Master. Anyway, blooper. The Puppet Master is the third in the series. I only rated this 4 stars, but the first one, this is not going well, is The Echo Man. So the Echo Man follows somebody who is going around as a serial unaliver. However, it soon becomes clear that they are reenacting several serial unalivers, and wow, this was just twisty. An absolute recommend for me in my opinion, and it led quite nicely on to the 20, which again was another 5 stars. This was actually a high 4 until the epilogue, but the epilogue just made it the perfect book. I have never ever met so much drama. So the plot in this one is that each body that is found has a number next to it and they're starting from 20. What they soon realise is that this person is going around unaliving until they reach 0. But the twists and turns in this, without ruining it for you, are phenomenal and an absolute read. And then Puppet Master just ties up the end. So it follows the 2 detectives that are separate in this. There are references to each book, but not enough that if you did accidentally pick these up in the wrong order. However, you need to have read the other 2 before you read this, because the other 2 actually come together to form the team in the Puppet Master. And there are a lot of suicides in this, and they just don't believe it is your traditional suicide, and it soon comes to light that someone is manipulating them into it. Very twisty. I think because there was so much more character development in this book, I think that is why I didn't enjoy it as much, because the other 2 were so twisty and sort of very much a thriller. This was still the same, it was just a lot more character development and wrapping up a lot, but oh my goodness, still recommend this whole series. Another 5-star read for me was an ARC I received this year, which has now released, and that is The Caregiver by N.L. Henkins. This follows a woman as she comes into the home to care for a family's mother who soon passes away, and it's very creepy, and I think I really like that. I'm not one that feels weirded out by books, but this was creepy in so many ways that I actually felt nervous reading parts of it, like it was freaky. But I did rate it 5 stars and I did read it in a day, and it is one of the best ARCs I've ever received and will continue to recommend. It is available on Kindle Unlimited as well, but oh my goodness, this was one of my favourites of the year. Time to move on now, and I want to move on to some of my least favourite, or maybe those that didn't quite reach my expectations this year. And one that really didn't reach my expectations this year was The Housemaid is Watching by Freida McFadden. This might come as a shock, it may be an unpopular opinion. However, this is the 3rd in the Housemaid series by Freida McFadden, and I absolutely rave about the other 2. However, this just did not live up to Freida McFadden's styles, in my opinion. I rated it 3 stars, so it wasn't a terrible book. I did still enjoy reading it, and I still read it pretty quickly. And I was really fortunate that I was able to read it within a few days of release. However, this follows Millie, but it follows her quite a few years on. Apart from she's no longer the housemaid, she's married, she's a social worker, she's trying to get her life together. I still don't see the point of it. I guessed the ending, which I've never ever done in a Freida, because she makes you think you've guessed it and then twists it at the end. And as much as I didn't fully get it, I still got a good chunk of it. And yeah, I hated a lot of the characters, which is good, but yeah, it just didn't hit the point for me and is definitely my least favourite Freida McFadden book. Another book that really didn't hit the mark for me this year is definitely Breaking the Dark by Lisa Jewell. I was really fortunate to receive this as an ARC, and I was so excited when I did receive it as an ARC, because honestly, getting a Lisa Jewell book before release is phenomenal. That being said, it was a 3-star for me, and I can't quite explain it. I don't know if maybe you like Marvel, it'll hit the mark. I would love to hear other people's opinions, especially if you are a Marvel lover and know Jessica Jones. But I just didn't see the point in it. I don't think the 2 really go together, if I'm being honest. It wasn't terribly written. I have been open on my review that NetGalley sent me a Duff ARC as well, so I could only read it on my iPad, which made it even more uncomfortable to read because it just wasn't sitting right. I couldn't get comfortable while reading, the heaviness of an iPad, etc. But that isn't the fault of Lisa Jewell. However, when I was reading it, nothing much happened until the last 30% of the book, and by then I was almost reading it because it was a Lisa Jewell book. It's not her usual type, and I think that needs to be a warning when you're going in to read it. But I would love to hear other people's opinions on that, because genuinely, it just, I just don't know what else to say really, but it just wasn't what I was expecting it to be. Let's talk DNFs. I'm not going to talk too long about these because I do think it is unfair to the authors that have put so much time into it, so I don't wish to slate books, but I just want to give my honest opinion. And the first one is The Fells by Cath Staincliffe. The only reason I could not get to this, the plot is actually really good, but the chapters were 15 to 18 minutes long on my Kindle. There were 3 characters and 2 time changes, and I just couldn't keep up with it, in all honesty. And a book like that just isn't for me, which is why I did unfortunately have to DNF it, but I did give it till 60%. I almost feel like I should have kept going, but the ARC was very much due to come out and I wanted to give an honest review before it came out. I have also put the disclaimers, that does not mean you do not read it. I am not here to influence you to DNF books, to not try books. The plot is good. If you don't mind long chapters and can cope with that massive change, then I would do. Maybe if I was reading it now whilst I was off work and I had more time to commit to it, I may enjoy it more. But when you're working and you're in and out of it and I often only pick up a chapter, but sometimes I have 5-10 minutes, and then obviously that length of chapter just doesn't work for me. But yeah, unfortunately it was a DNF, but I'm still not slating it. Like I said, the plot is actually really good. I just think the chapters just need splitting up a little bit. The other DNF for me so far this year is When I Find You by Emma Curtis. I actually don't think, again, that this was a terrible book, but I was listening to it on audio and I think I was starting to slump a little bit, but it was just a bit slow for me. It wasn't thriller vibes at all, and I have listened to quite a few thrillers in audiobook now, and I have rated some 5 stars, so it's not a case of that the thriller doesn't come across or that I'm half listening, but I just can't explain it. I can't even remember the plot. That's how much I thought of the book. But again, please give it a read up and see if it is for you. I have been tackling my TBR this year as well, and I started on this bookcase. So as much as I've said here are my books, this is just a third of the books that I own, and I am trying to tackle my TBR because it is getting a little bit out of control. So there are a few series I've tried to finish, and I've finished the Twisted series by Ana Huang, and Twisted Lies is actually in there as one of my favourite books of the year. So I did rate Twisted Lies 5 stars. I'd given this series a break originally because they are very repetitive in my opinion, like the end of the book is in the beginning of the next one. But I absolutely loved finishing off this series, and yeah, I've managed to finish that series, wrap it up with an average of, I think, about 4 stars. Hydration break. Another series I managed to finish was Ana Huang's If Love series. I actually ended up listening to these all on audio. I rated them an average of 4 stars. In fact, I think they were all 4-star reads for me. Like I said, I listened on audio. They're just such a nice listen that you can sort of do things and be listening but still keep track with the story. I came across them by accident on Libby, and then it's just fell from there onto Spotify. But yeah, they are a really good series. I definitely give them a read up. As much as Ana Huang's Twisted series is on there, her If Love series is not actually available on KU, but I would still recommend giving them a look. You can get them from places like The Works. Another series I managed to wrap up was the Chestnut Spring series. I read the first 4 before Hopeless came out last year, and I absolutely adore them. I inhaled them while I was on holiday. They were about an average of 4 stars each, and yeah, they're all just so good. It is a cowboy romance, quick and easy reads. I love the little text conversations at the beginning of every chapter. The chapters are a bit longer, so if you're not into long chapters, just go in with a warning for that. But I just loved the characters in this. They follow the Eaton family, but you just fall in love with them. I kind of want a 6th book for the dad. If you've read the books, you'll understand why. But yeah, I finally finished that series this year, and that is another series ticked off my list. I think I've talked enough about what I've read this year. So like I said, that is some of my favourites, some of my least favourites from the year. But please let me know in the comments some of your favourite books from 2024 so far, and maybe some of the books you didn't quite enjoy or expected to enjoy more. And please let me know your opinions in the comments. Thanks again for listening, guys, and don't forget to like and subscribe.